right?
Yep.
Do you have a copy of the agenda?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to see a copy?
Of the minutes? Sure. Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, actually got a minor amendment. The meeting was adjourned at 5:17 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Just-
Oh, at the
I-
bottom.
I didn't put an end time on it. It was 5:17 p.m.
Okay. All right, so is there a motion? Oh, Don's still
I
reading.
just wanted to-
Sorry.
That's all right. I apologize for not putting them out before now.
The second to last paragraph, it just says ideas about how much to weight. Was there something more on
Oh,
there,
yeah,
or?
there was. Ideas, how much to weight each category is what it should say. Weight each category were discussed. Each category was discussed. Ideas were discussed. Use the right tense. So, ideas, each category. Thank you, Don. Were discussed. So, we'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended for the March 20th, 2024 meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes.
Fix
Is somebody gonna be keeping them like in a binder, or?
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna,
I'll-
you'll
Yeah,
do that,
I'll keep
okay.
it in a binder, yeah.
All right, so, did everyone get a chance to read the projects and go through the spreadsheet?
I didn't have a chance to go through the spreadsheet. I did have a chance to read the projects.
Okay,
Yeah, same here. I wanted to see if we were, what we were gonna actually, were the proposed categories okay? Did I don't think we ever like formally accepted or agreed to that. We discussed it quite a bit, but didn't really.
I just put it together as we
Yeah.
had. So I have to say, I found the spreadsheet frustrating.
Okay.
First of all, there's no guide on what 0 through 10 is. And I think, first of all, I think we should go to 5. 10
That's
is
fine.
too much.
That's
3 or 5, yeah.
3 or 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Either one.
And we need some sort of guide like Springfield did, where, what does a 2 mean? What does a 4
Mhm.
mean? Because I was just like, oh, 7, I don't know, 6.
Right.
So, that's kind of where I landed with it. I had difficulty doing this exercise actually helps a lot. I gave zeros to project funding and promotes economic development across the board. I don't know if they're good categories or not. Honestly, because what do? We're dealing with police, fire, this building, highway, the senior center. I guess
Wastewater treatment.
wastewater treatment. I don't know that having economic development in there maybe is such a great category. I mean, if it only comes up once in a while that one of our capital projects would do that, I think we should take it off the rating sheet and just consider it as a plus if we have
Mhm.
a tie or something.
Sure.
But maybe we can put something better in that spot, I don't know. I also, project funding, I gave zeros all the way down, because what was that? That was if we have a grant, or,
Well, I mean, that's, you know, say for example, you know, there's money that has been already, reserved or put aside, for, the project, and, you know, it's only maybe now needed, instead of, you know, 200,000 maybe to complete the project, they need, you know, only like $75,000 to complete a $200,000 project. You know, that
Okay.
may make some sense to, you know, fund that and get that
So
taken care
basically,
of.
kinda like, you know, you buy a truck for $300,000 and you trade the old one in and you get a kickback on it, and save the money on
okay, so then we really have to define what that means then. I kept thinking it would have been better to know, like, what is the economic impact to the town?
Mhm.
Seemed like we should have had that category
Mhm.
maybe. Again, it's like, you know, low hanging fruit versus high cost projects, but at least helps you kind of like,
Are you talking
sort
like
it out.
Springfield's with project funding, the fiscal impact? Kind of like how much is?
yeah, for what I just said, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, as a new category, or to replace
to
one of
replace the
these,
project
yeah.
funding.
Like, for example, you know, fiscal impact could be, say, for example, you've only got a pot of $500,000 for free cash. So it's either you know, if there's a pending project that's, you know, say $300,000 that you're looking to get done, that's taking all of your, most of the majority of your pie, unless you go out to borrow and, you know, and get money that way,
Or just do that one project.
or
right.
just do that one project. But then other departments are not seeing any, you know,
Yeah.
investments in their capital.
But that's gonna be hard to rate, because some of these are multi-year.
Well,
So
the
that's
thing,
like a
that-
now question,
Mhm.
as opposed to a 5-year plan question.
Mhm,
Does that
mhm.
make sense, right?
Sure.
Right, but that's when we would change that project funding when we reevaluate next year. So like, for instance, if we have like an ambulance that's gonna cost a few $100,000, and we wanna plunk some money away every
Mhm.
year to plan on that in 5 years, then obviously that project funding, the rating will go up
Okay.
every year, because we've already had money set aside. So it's gonna be less that we have to impact the tax rate or free cash by every year.
Right,
So
okay.
it will change from year to year when we re-review the projects that we haven't done.
Okay,
And
Alright.
fundability too, so, I mean, it also takes care of that other category that you were just talking about.
project funding?
Project funding, so, I mean, you know, now all of a sudden you've socked away for last 3 years, you know, $50,000 a year, now you've got $150,000, and the purchase is, you know, $210,000. Well, could we do the 60,000, you know, to finish up the project, you know?
Right,
Yeah. So I think project funding should be considered,
okay.
because a grant might come up, because this isn't just a one-year thing, this is gonna be rolling through the years. And the
Right, okay.
projects will just fall off as we complete them.
Mhm.
So I think it's important to know if a grant does come up during a year, obviously.
You could bump it.
That's, exactly, that's gonna
Okay.
change it and give it a little more weight if we have some some financing that can come through that's not gonna impact the town as much.
Okay. So what I was thinking is, everybody has a copy of the Springfield one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
For homework, if everybody can look at the 6 scale breakdown, because they're counting 0,
Mhm.
and think about how it's gonna apply to us. I mean, maybe we can just copy theirs, but there may be some massaging. And then we can,
Did you send this
I sent the template out,
out? Okay,
yeah, but then I went through this with.
As an email.
Mhm.
okay, because I got this email, and I don't remember seeing the one with the template.
It was probably attached,
Okay,
yeah.
so it was this email?
It was an attachment to an email.
Okay, I'll take a look again.
Yeah, Thursday. Was it? It wasn't that email, though.
Okay,
That email.
Two.
Yeah, that email, I think, was the first one. Yep, and then this one was the second.
all right, so it was.
Did you play with the sheet at all, or what did you think?
I kind of thought along the same lines as you, we gotta drop some of those off and maybe come down to a different scale from 10,
Yeah.
5, because 10 is go way too much.
Yeah,
We
okay,
gotta make it simpler.
okay.
Yeah,
It's,
I would agree.
it's fine. So you want to use, I wanted to, you said something about you made a reference to Springfield including 0, and then you said 6.
Oh, well-
What were you referring to?
Well, they do 1 through 5, but they also have 0, meaning it doesn't apply at all,
Okay.
so.
Because that's what I was going to say. You can, which I don't care, I'm just saying, maybe this year, none of the projects, I agree with you, none of the projects really do promote economic development per se,
Right.
or maybe minimally some of the water project things, you could maybe make that case. But you could still leave the category, because a year, 2, 3 years from now, hopefully there will be some projects that promote economic development, and just everything just gets a 0 this
Yeah.
year.
Okay,
But I don't care. We can leave the criteria in there and just let it all fall out to be 0s, just so we capture it
I think
for
that's okay.
potentially future years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I do too, but again, I'm happy to defer to
And
the
then,
collective thought.
and then what you're going to take a look at is that, then you'll see where, on those category ratings, where is this document leading to? Is it leading to,
yeah,
You
it's
know-
not like it's fixed right now.
Correct.
We may modify this like every time we meet,
Yeah.
right?
right?
To make it, it's gonna take a while for it to be useful, right? To
Right.
get it down, so.
And I just wanted to clarify, so we're going to use a 1 to 5 system, but 0 to 5.
0 to 5, yeah.
Okay, rating system of 0 to 5.
And I would say,
Okay.
even something like mandated, maybe that's like a 3 scale. It's not, it's mostly mandated, or we have to do it, which like I gave the sewer, like a 10 on 2 of their projects,
Okay.
and then I gave turnout gear a 5. Because
Okay.
technically, I mean,
That's kind of mandated.
it's sort of mandated, because then they can't use it.
I agree.
But it's 2029, so we have time.
Right.
Whereas the sewer, we're gonna have to fund those.
I went and I categorized all the sewer, all from 1 to 3.
Okay,
Because I read through the documents that we attached to it,
Right.
and there are specific time limits that we have to be within before we get citation.
now is that gonna mess up our percentages then, if we have a different?
Yes.
It will.
It will. You have to decide on a 1 to 3, 1 to 5, 0 to 5,
Yeah, I see.
1 to 10. You have to decide on one
Time is
system.
too, but you still can classify 0 to 3.
0 to 5. Well, so you would do a 1, a 3, or a 5 then?
Yeah,
okay.
that's fine.
All right.
Yeah, did you see the legal obligation mandates for Springfield? That was one that I was looking at, is, it is a mandate, but is it a mandate now, is it a mandate in the future? Do we have,
Yeah.
a court order? So I think that we can make the 0 to 5 scale work with a
Yeah,
mandate.
okay,
Because it's not a
all
yes
right.
or a no, it's
And,
where in
Yeah.
that spectrum does it fall?
Okay,
right, so as you go through it, if you can make it high, low, medium,
Right.
1, 3, 5. But there might be a distinction someday where you say, well, this is really, I don't wanna call it medium, I don't wanna give it a 5, let's give it a 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, if you look at, you know, in Springfield's case, their criteria was, there was a rating within the criteria, and then the overall weight of that criteria, so
Yeah.
had like a 1 to 5. So you've had the rating within the criteria, and then each criteria was weighted for the overall project.
Yeah,
Right, right. Yep.
and that was, I think we had decided that we'll give mandates 51% to make sure they always trump
Yeah.
unmandated
Okay.
requests. I did want to come back to that, the weightings, the 51% versus 15% versus 9.5%. But before that, I just wanted to clarify, so are we distinguishing project funding from fiscal impact? Do we want to make fiscal impact
Okay, so
a
let's,
category?
where
Well, I think
is,
they go hand in hand.
I know that they do,
Overall
but
fiscal.
but for example, they do, but I thought I heard brief discussion that maybe they need to be separated out. I'm just trying to clarify what I heard there.
so Springfield has how it's going to impact the funding. I thought we were looking at, if there's a grant available, it doesn't matter how it affects the funding, if there's a grant available, maybe we want to get it because it's time sensitive. Even
Right.
maybe if it's a little, so they would sort of be separate. It could be a low impact, the grant is there. High impact, the grant is there. But it would still, you know,
Okay.
we may decide that because the grant is there, we're gonna take it anyway, no matter what. So I don't know if we could add a category. I'm not sure what it would
Did you
be
feel like you
called.
needed to? I thought I heard something
Yeah, I
along
did.
that lines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although none of these had grants anyway, so again, it's hard to, without the data, it's
Yeah,
hard to
I think,
implement it.
I don't want to make it too complicated,
Complicated.
convoluted by
Mhm.
adding too many categories.
Yeah,
So I mean, that
there
could
is that.
just be, that could fall within our discussions,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
you know,
Right.
of how we can fund it, the funding initiatives,
Yeah.
but not necessarily the actual priority of it.
Mhm.
You know, that might be a
Okay,
consideration within the discussion, but I don't think that it should be, a category to prioritize
which,
in and of itself.
the grant,
Yeah, I think it
Question?
should be in the project funding, like,
okay, somehow within the 1 to 5.
yeah, because, I mean, here, you know, obviously, how they, it doesn't have to be exactly obvious, we're not Springfield, but,
Yeah,
you know, obviously, the less that the town is going to fund means that there's sources outside. There's
Okay.
grants outside. There's money that we've already set aside outside.
okay.
So I think that that will kind of take into consideration other
Okay.
sources of funding,
Mhm.
such as grants.
Okay. All right.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So you're okay with fiscal impact being rolled into this funding thing?
I think so. I guess it's
Just-
one of those things we'll just have to try it, right? That
Mhm,
seems
mhm.
like,
Yeah. Um,
I mean, it was interesting to actually go through the exercise of doing this, but
So
it
make,
really helps to.
so for clarity, we'll make funding / fiscal impact.
Okay, yeah,
Is that okay?
yeah,
Drop the project, because we know it's a project, or an asset maybe, but funding / fiscal impact. Okay.
and then if everyone, are we gonna meet next week probably?
Mm-hmm.
So after this meeting until the next meeting, if you can take a look at these categories and just kind of think about whether they apply or not, or how we can change them a little bit. And to avoid a discussion, if you have suggestions that you wanna send them to Jim. You know, if you wanna like, do one of these up, and you can send it to Jim.
Okay.
Can I
And he
borrow
could
that
provide
for
it.
a quick second, just so I can see the categories?
Mhm.
Just in case I can't find it now.
Let me make sure it did go.
Which one is it?
You got the other one. Yep. Okay, so any other questions on the rating, the spreadsheet, before we move on to actually talking about these?
The projects.
Yeah.
So, what was your thoughts about the weightings we gave each one? Mandates 51, funding / fiscal impact 15.
I don't really know. Is it like a
But
stab
did
in
you
the
get a,
dark?
right, well, I think we
Well, they,
we really come to a consensus about the mandates, so that allows it to be a, so the only one who's getting funding is the water system,
Sewer, yeah.
our water sewer department. I keep calling it water, but
on
it's
mine.
sewer.
Well, because the mandate, like you said, it trumps
Trumps
everything.
everything.
I also gave it tens for critical need / risk on those two.
Yep,
So,
yep.
The next highest one, got almost 5, was the turnout gear.
Public safety.
Yeah, so a 5 for mandate, a 10 for critical need. Again,
You threw an
8
in
for
there.
service
Yeah,
to
that's fine,
public,
that's
I don't
fine,
know,
That's fine.
right? And so it came up with a 4.8. But by far, the 2 sewer ones were the copper reduction and chlorine alarm.
Yeah,
And everything else fell between like 1 and 3, pretty much, right?
yeah, everything else.
Or
you
one-
did- yeah, Between
yeah.
1 and 3, yeah.
Or 1 and 2.5, mainly because they were critical risk or critical need or service to the public.
And,
And service to the public was weighted less than critical need, so,
but if you now.
which is probably about right.
But if you now consider the fiscal impact, those zeros are all, many of those zeros will go away.
They
Because.
could, yeah.
Because when you've got a, 6-digit number in there versus a 5-digit number,
Right.
so, well, I guess we're gonna do it as homework, the definitions. So what does fiscal impact mean?
That's something
That
we'll
it-
have to
that it-
figure out.
That the more it costs, the lower the number.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
it's less
Right.
advantageous,
Right.
Okay.
in a way. Fiscally,
But we
yeah.
want to be careful about that too,
Yeah.
because like we decided in the last meeting, we don't want to be tempted to lower a priority simply because it costs a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You-
yeah.
It's a balancing act.
Right,
So,
and that, and
but what we could do is give it a lower rate, weighting too.
what we could do also is put in our, scale, that it's put somewhere in there, multi-year project.
Okay.
So it's not all at once, we could put in somewhere in our scale, maybe a 3 or a 4, multi-year,
Mhm.
so we can get a higher weighting if we can fund it over
Over time,
multiple
yeah.
years.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
okay, yeah, so it doesn't necessarily just have to be about the raw cash value, right?
Exactly.
It can be more cash value
800,000
versus how we're gonna do it.
800,000 over 4 years is no worse than 200,000 in 1 year.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And then we can figure in grants there too.
Right, and so if in a lot of this, again, will revolve around other things too, on the fiscal impact. So for example, if it's a really bad economy, or if we're in a real bad, recession of some sort, and revenues dip or collections dip, then, you know, you may wanna look at this and say, you have to readjust, you know,
Yeah.
at what we can potentially fund that year, you know?
Okay, yeah. Okay. Anything else on the sheets then? I would say, you know, if you get some time, try
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
you know, just see what you think. And I'll go, well, once we get, actually, let's get our categories, our 0 to 5s in, and then try it, because you'll just be as frustrated as Dan and I were. So if next meeting, everybody does their homework, and we can come back and have a good 0 to 5 scale for each of these. Then I can update the second tab with that scale, and then we can, then that would be the time to try it out.
Okay.
And if you want, I can even send out, I could send out my sheet without the numbers, if you want. Like, I've already got the projects in there.
Okay,
I'll just erase the numbers.
the numbers, okay.
And send it out.
Sure, that'd be great.
Did you do something similar? I mean,
Yeah, I did some similar,
okay.
took me a while, but
Yeah. All right, moving on, review and discuss.
So I did have some additional requests that had, well, updated requests that had come in from Senior Center. I'm gonna pass those around.
are these all the same? or-
No, you gotta pass them.
Yes, they're all the
They're all
same.
the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Oh, yeah.
So was Adam working with an older set of?
This is a second.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're doing.
Still on comes with
I'll wait until we're done.
And then.
So was Adam working with an earlier version of the sheet?
I think it's just better cut off. I know.
Because
that
like he didn't
has
have
full bottoms.
priority, he didn't, there was some, where was his stuff?
I noticed that.
Like his stopped at number 5.
I don't know,
So-
I think he cut off, I think his cut off.
Yeah,
Oh.
because he typed
'Cause
in
it-
so much there.
Oh, I see, yeah. Only one of them had a priority, well, okay, so a couple of them, out of his 5, only 2 had a priority. I
Mhm.
found the priority pretty useful
Yeah.
on the rating spreadsheet.
I have a couple things going through on the police department.
Okay, so why don't we start with the ones, everybody had a chance to look at the ones, the old ones, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so you want to start with police?
Oh, okay, what was that?
You can do police, okay.
I might have taken that out of order. How many did we have for police?
It's only a few, because I gave Jerry back a couple.
Yeah, we mixed 3 of them.
Yep.
I have 6 here. So, all the cruisers,
Mhm.
he has a useful life of 3 years, which does not fall within our useful life of 5-year structure.
Oh.
So,
Okay, I didn't even,
I mean,
Oh,
is a
boy.
police vehicle useful for 5 years though?
I think it can be.
I don't
I mean,
know.
I definitely think they should be on a rotating basis of some sort, but if
Mhm.
they're 3 years, they're gonna have to find funding outside of capital planning, according to our,
Right.
I mean, I think it can be, you could also just make a line within the budget if you wanted to incorporate a cruiser every year. I mean, if that's,
$60,000 line.
yeah, I mean, if that's what you wanna do, or if you
That-
wanna,
50,000, is that all dressed out? Or is that just the
Yeah,
vehicle
we-
itself?
I would think so.
no, closer to 60 is,
Yeah,
Yes.
60.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
Right, but 60 means,
It's all
that's what it
dressed.
costs, they deliver it, it's ready to go, right?
right, yeah.
okay.
I mean, the cruiser itself is teetering around, 48,000, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're replacement vehicles, not new items. The replacements, I thought that they would fall within a replacement, not a new,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because they
okay.
are replacing other vehicles. That was just minor. So I don't know how anybody wants to attack the vehicles.
Yeah, even the computers, I guess, are
I have,
replacement. So, I kinda like, okay, so if it doesn't fall within our criteria, but maybe doing a budget item, one car every year.
Yep.
Yeah, you could do that. if you
That,
wanted to
that's,
do that.
I'm in favor of that,
Yeah,
because
and then that takes care of this whole thing, right? And
I understand the ideal of 3 years, 100,000 miles, but I don't care how much use they get. They're not so heavily used that you need a new car. $100,000 miles a generation and a half ago was a big deal.
Mhm.
If you got your car to 100,000 miles, you were like celebrating, that kind of thing. But nowadays, if that car can't get to 100,000 miles, you got 11. There's no reason why a car can't get to 200,000. So they are a little more heavily used. It's Warren. I understand, we can't afford top-notch, top-of-the-line for everybody in every department. So I'm saying 60,000. Next year, the number might be 70,000 because
Yeah.
cars are expensive. But one car every 5 years, you figure out how to make that work.
Well, then that would fall in our criteria.
Right.
Okay.
That's,
how many
I think that's
vehicles
what's
do they
being
have?
proposed here, and I'm totally in favor of it. And I don't mean to be, and then if there's an exception that needs to be made, you make that request that year. But if your car's got 120,000 miles on it, and it's 4 years old, I'm saying you make it work. That's my feeling about it.
Well, so,
Rather,
oh, go ahead.
sorry, so rather than having 5 capital projects come
Right.
before us, we have
One.
one,
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
and next year we have one.
Right, unless there's a reason to accept it, right? Car gets an offender bender, it's
Yeah,
kind of like,
insurance would pay
that put an
that.
extra,
Yeah.
yeah, but you know how that is. It's-
Yeah.
Right. You can make exceptions, but that's why you have a capital plan request. To request, and again, no offense to police chief, I understand what he's trying to do is
Mhm.
get this in the pipeline, and that's good. I
Yeah,
want to know
yeah.
that right, basically what he's saying is, he needs to replace a car every year, at the minimum, and I agree. And so let's do that, let's do a car every year,
Yeah,
and if it takes $60,000 a year, then let's start with that, and that number may need to creep up due to inflation or mandates for the car be outfitted differently and all that kind of thing.
So, yeah, but if he does a car every year, he may not be within that 5-year span that you were just talking about.
Well, how many cruisers do we have right now?
Well,
I thought we have
4.
4, but we also have a
Well-
police chief
We have
and
We
the
have
lieutenant.
5 according to this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's 2
3
unmarked
cruisers,
and 3
lieutenants and
unmarked.
chief.
I think there is 5.
5, okay.
Five
Five
vehicles,
vehicles,
whether you call them cruisers or not,
Mhm.
yeah. I think there are 5 police vehicles in question.
So, I mean, realistically, the chief's car may not get as much wear and tear as a regular cruiser.
Correct, or the lieutenants.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, when those come up, you may be able to say, well, let's do the cruiser, we'll let the lieutenants go 1 more year, it should be
Right.
okay. And so, but as long as he has that money for a
Mhm.
car, he
Yeah.
could decide what is the next one to
right.
replace.
And I think even he has written up here 26, 27, 28, so I think
Yeah.
that was his intention.
Oh, that's a good, I didn't
However-
even
Yeah.
notice that, that's a good point.
You know,
But
the
it is a-
replacement of the 21 would be
28,
due
yeah.
in 26.
Yep.
So it wouldn't even be on for the 25, the budget for
No,
the
it'd be next
25.
year,
It'd
yeah.
be the following year.
Yeah.
So he has nothing for this year, for cars.
Right,
These requests are for,
next-
for the,
next year,
for the
yeah.
next year. He just put them in
Okay.
a little early. I guess we can put them in our, you know, in our budget, you know, plan.
Yeah,
For-
so
for
the budget for
So-
Next year.
26, 27, and then you got 3 to 28.
Should we recommend a small amount of money to be put in this year? Like even 15 or 20, just to kind of like get the
See,
Well,
capital bucket going?
I think when we come down and see how much all the projects are,
Yeah,
we can take
okay.
a look at how
Yeah.
much we have, because we have a capital, we have money in the capital
Okay.
stabilization now.
Okay, so we can use that, we don't necessarily have to have a police bucket.
So I think that'll come when we list all the projects. Maybe we
Okay.
can have something in there that says, you know, the year that they're looking to have the project completed.
Mhm, okay.
So we're changing these to 5 years instead of 3 years.
Mhm.
Yep. And the other thing is, if he's really, they're not going 5 years, then we can adjust, right?
Yeah.
He may
I
come
mean,
back
if the
and say,
reality
look,
really
this
is,
yeah,
if the
this-
reality really is, you need a new car every 3 years, I'm open to hear that, but as I sit
What's the
here today,
justification? Right.
as I sit here today, I'm thinking, you gotta be able to get more than 100,000 miles out of a car. They're not constantly speeding after violators every minute of
Yeah.
that. When they're just patrolling, there's no more wear and tear than you or I commuting to work, you know,
Right,
kind of
yeah.
thing, so.
Plus, if he's counting on a new car, it's not like now, like, 2 cars are sitting for now 6 years or 7 years, because he doesn't have the money, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna recommend a new car every year, so they never really get too old.
And then on the computer replacements for the police
Ye-
department,
Yeah, well,
I-
was that different than what the selectmen are requesting?
Yeah, good question, I guess.
It-
um,
Is the selectmen request for computer replacement, Jim, including all departments, including the police?
Yes.
So this would be a duplication?
Yes, we don't need that.
Okay,
So we can honor the request by deferring it to the selectmen
Correct.
request.
okay.
So that takes care of that one.
Besides that, that should be phased in anyway. Rather than doing a whole. Okay.
Would that be the same for the servers in the firewall?
Those are gonna be articles.
Yeah, those would be different.
His tasers, however, he thought that, you know, 20,000 is an estimate. He thought that, you know, it could be at the $25,000 range by the time the project is ready to go. So, the tasers are new as of 2023.
How much are we looking at then?
I mean, that's way down the road.
I thought we pulled that one out because it didn't fall within.
Well, he put a cost of 20,000, but I think what we're hearing right now is that maybe actually a $25,000 number would be appropriate.
So we just got tasers, and they're gonna last
10 years?
10 years.
Yeah.
So he's looking for this in 2030?
Yeah.
It's a long way out, so I
I think
mean,
it's a little early to,
I think I think the feedback should be resubmit this
when
next
it gets a little
year.
bit closer. yeah.
What, yeah.
5 years.
I would, yeah.
I
5
don't think we
years
should go
at the
more than 5
halfway.
years out, price is gonna
Yeah.
change, technology's gonna change.
Yeah.
Mm.
Or even to give us a heads up when it's 6 years
Mhm.
out, you know, that kind of a thing. But,
Okay.
yeah, it's a little premature. But kudos for putting it on the, I mean,
Okay.
ask.
Right,
You know,
right.
it's easy to deny and
Yeah, exactly.
re-ask.
If you ask, you're never gonna know.
Right.
If you
right.
don't ask, you're
Right,
never
it's
gonna
not
know.
there's no repudiation here.
Right.
It's, I appreciate him asking,
Mhm.
so.
Well, plus it's on our radar.
Yeah.
So if we don't hear
It's something to keep
hear
in-
about
Right, because
tasers,
we
then
don't,
we're
we're not
like,
gonna sit here
"Hmm."
and think about, oh, where's, they're gonna need 5 figures for tasers someday.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not for 7 more years, so.
Mhm.
So did we
Well,
say that
rejected but
lots
not
of
out of,
them are-
without prejudice.
Yeah, yeah.
Without prejudice, yeah.
And so are
So, what do,
Glocks
I'm
are-
sorry, what
The
was that?
Glocks are gonna be an article,
and the
because
server
they're
and firewall
6,000.
Article, yeah. What was that article there, Don?
clocks.
Okay, yeah.
And then the police firewall and server, right? would
Yeah,
be
articles,
Articles.
future articles, they're not gonna be articles this year, but.
Okay. All right, so did you get, for notes, did you get everything on the police then?
I think so.
Okay. All
What's the
right,
next department?
highway?
Okay.
So we've got an F600, an Elgin sweeper, an F350, and a dry storage building. The highest rating on my sheet was the Elgin sweeper, mainly because of the age
It
and the safety.
sounds like it's on its last legs,
Yeah.
and so I agree
They
that.
said it was not safe to operate. I don't know what that means, but if that's the
I had
case,
a
then.
We have
question
to
on
put a
this one.
5-star on that one, so
Yeah.
that that should go right to the top of the list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I have a question on this one.
okay.
A couple of questions. Back in 17, we purchased a Watcher Newsom sweeper, or Watcher Newsom equipment for 93,000. And then in 19, we purchased a sweeper attachment for this 2017 piece of equipment. So
Okay.
do we have a 2017 piece of equipment that will do, like, is it the same? I don't,
I thought the sweeper they got was one of those, like, it's that big round brushy thing, and you use it, just to move debris. It doesn't actually pick anything up.
So we
Right,
got
the Elgin
another
is a
hop-
road sweeper.
Right, like the, you know, the big thing with the
Basically,
corner,
yeah, it's
Well,
called
does
for
the
the
ninety-
Pelican.
curbs.
for
Three-wheel drive unit.
$93,000.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a road unit. The other unit is probably just a powered brush.
For $93,000?
Yeah, on a machine, and probably mounts to like a bucket loader or
It's a WACH,
what do you call the little tractors there?
right? Is that Watcher?
Front
Yeah,
loader,
WACH,
excavator.
No, 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 no,
Use it.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 the
Because
little tiny
the
ones.
sweeper
Oh,
attachment
God.
was 7,000.
I can't think of the name of
And then in 23, we bought a hopper
And-
sweeper for minimal money, which is what I think that
it. Like a Mustang, a little tiny.
is what he's talking about.
You can put multiple attachments on the sweeper.
Oh, yeah.
I forget what it's called, but
I guess.
it'll come to me when I
See.
walk
Yeah,
up.
that's okay.
I mean, it's all these, like, small tractor kind of things. So
Yeah,
I can see
Walker
something like
Newsom's-
that being a $93,000
Right. So I guess. I-
So maybe, you know, it's almost like a little Bobcat or something, right?
That's the word, Bobcat.
Okay. And then they got the little
And then we have the
sweeper
sweeper attachment for it.
attachment.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a bunch of different things you can throw onto them, and
Yeah.
because you got the name Bobcat, you're paying
So
through the
thi-
nose.
this is,
Yeah.
this is an actual street sweeper?
Well,
Yes.
Parking lot, sidewalks, small areas.
No, this is a road
Oh,
one.
this one right here, the
Yeah.
big,
Road.
this is a
The
road.
road,
sweeper, the
road
Elgin.
street sweeper.
the Elgin?
That's
The
a
one they're
road
looking to
sweeper.
replace.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a road
So
sweeper.
it's a big machine, oh, here, and it's got like the thing that does the curbs on the side, the
The
debris
roller.
goes inside and then you dump it into a dump truck.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's a much, more complicated
It's
machine.
a big, yeah, it's a big piece of equipment.
Oh, okay, all right.
What does he call it? Elgin sweeper. Yeah, well, something like that, right? It's got the
Oh, okay,
brush on the side, and then there's a brush underneath, and
okay.
everything goes into here. They can, sweep out the, catch basins too, right? It's got like a vacuum thing.
Some
You
of
see
them
that?
do,
Get rid
not
of
all
all
of
the
them.
leaves. Oh,
That's not
Similar
what you're
to
looking
that.
at, but what you're
Yeah.
looking at, the Elgin is a big yellow beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Are the new ones yellow too? All these are white.
So I know that Jeremy's had luck with used equipment from auctions before.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go.
So this is like one right here.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, because it's got, that's right.
Yeah, it's three-wheel
The
machine.
three-wheel thing.
Yep.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
thing in the
sorry.
back, the three.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
the one I was looking at, wasn't right. So, yeah, I mean,
I mean, because $300,000 is a lot
well, he did,
for a piece of equipment the last 10 to 15 years for
Yeah.
the town of Warren.
Yeah,
so
You don't,
a third of the cost if he goes used, right?
right.
So I would,
I think that's more
Hmm?
reasonable,
yeah,
you know.
so we could call this a used Elgin sweeper, right?
yeah, again, top of the line. Be great to give him $300,000 for a new sweeper, but it's a sweeper.
But
I-
I guess, well, it depends on the condition of the used one. So if
Right.
you're getting 10 to 15 out of a new one, what's a used one gonna be?
Then you gotta,
I mean,
and then you gotta do
We've gotten
maintenance.
30 years.
But it was bought used 20 years ago.
Yeah, so we've gotten good,
Oh, okay,
He,
so we got,
he probably, it's not, and I've seen the thing operating, and I've had the thought, why are they bothering? Because it's leaving as much behind as it's picking up.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
they do need a new one. But $300,000, it's too much.
Now, there was talk about, ones that have, that are like hybrid ones, that, you know, there may be, in the future, a grant, from either Green Communities or,
Mm.
the state that would fund a hybrid type of model of one of those vehicles.
What is the hybrid? Oh, you mean like,
What-
gas electric?
Right.
Oh, hybrid that way, okay. I was gonna say,
Yeah, I wasn't-
how else, what else would you outfit it for?
Yeah,
Right, I was
Yeah,
thinking
okay.
it was like a sweeper snowplow. or
No,
something, right?
no, hybrid meaning, you know.
Right,
Fuel.
Fuel,
Yeah.
yeah, efficient.
Okay,
then the request will be $100,000 to install a charging station at the
Yeah,
town
right.
department. But I'd rather do a granted hybrid sweeper and spend another $100,000 on a charging station than $300,000 for
yeah.
a new one. You know, that's a specific thing that, you know, we can have Jeremy come in and get the pros and cons
yeah.
from him directly. We can't sit here. I don't have
Yeah.
enough expertise to know, is $100,000 or $130,000 for a used one a more efficacious way to use the money than $300,000 for a new one? Obviously new, yeah, we always want new, but
But nowadays, you have just as much problems with new as you do with used.
Mm.
yeah, I mean, that's a fair argument.
And then sometimes the new ones, when you send
Yeah.
it back in there, because parts aren't available,
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say get 10 more years out of a used one than 20 years out of a new one.
Mhm.
personally, but go
Yeah.
ahead, Jim was gonna say something.
Well, you may wanna think of something over time. I mean, if you're cautious about used and, you know, the condition of the used vehicle or the used equipment that we may be getting, you know, something like this over time, maybe if you sock away a little bit of money here and there, every year, then you'll have some ability to purchase a new one.
But
It sounds like he needs this pretty urgently.
Yeah,
Like he's not gonna wait 5 years for us to.
No,
plunk
so
away money.
what I would do is do the
I
used
thought
one,
the,
and then put
his
away the
priorities
next
were
new one.
Yeah.
higher, I thought,
yeah.
not
This is-
lower.
Well, it's his priority too, but if
His
you-
priority is a two. He was looking for something, I think.
he needs the truck.
No, this dry storage building, when I was speaking to him today, that's a level 4 priority.
Yeah,
That
the
was,
priority one was the F600.
Yep.
It's his dump truck that can also plow. And that's 13 years old.
I don't know if his priorities mean, I thought I thought he was
think they're
going in the,
reversed.
in the
Oh.
reverse.
Oh,
I
boy.
think his
Okay.
Ford is number one on the list for him. That's what he wants first.
Oh, he was talking about a dry storage building today. Yes, yes.
His dry storage, he
Yeah,
has.
So he's saying
has
that
a-
priority 4 is the highest?
Well, I mean, he's looking to get, you know, something like that, I guess, to store some of these vehicles, these new pieces of equipment that he's got. You know, he's got a new excavator, he's got some new other pieces of equipment that he's running out of storage to store them properly. So I don't know, I could be wrong with his priorities, but when I was talking with him today, he was mentioning the dry storage building.
Okay, so, well, we can go through these,
Mhm.
but probably next meeting, we're gonna have to have
Have him come in.
Mhm.
Sure.
some departments come in if
Yeah.
we have questions,
Mhm.
right? Okay.
Yeah, cause I'd like to know, is that used an estimate, or has he seen ones out there, you know, how old are they?
Right.
Hours do they have on them?
And the other thing we gotta
you know.
find out too is their ratings, are they using the same rating system as we're using? Is
Yeah.
their 5 gonna be their must-go
Yeah.
to, or one gonna be their lowest
Pro-
go-to? Or vice versa?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, you
if-
mean when they're filling
if you
this
c-
out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you could make an adjustment
Yeah.
to the form,
Sure.
parentheses,
One.
number one highest priority.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
just so
yeah,
they're
yeah.
clear about
Yeah.
that, because that's crucial. And while we're on making, just, so, Jerry had put everything as a new item, but all of his requests were actually replacements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, it's a picayune thing, but,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just, when we give him feedback, just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, check the right box, it's replacements.
So do we want Jeremy to come in and talk about
Yeah, why don't,
that one?
well, let's go, okay, so we've talked about the Elgin. I think the canvas shed thing, it's inexpensive, and I think there's a big bang for the buck, so.
I agree. I thought both the dump truck plow,
Which is
and the shed.
600 or the 350?
it was an F600.
Okay.
And when I looked at his priority number one, I was like,
Hmm.
okay, you could have made both the sweeper and this a priority one. I know that doesn't, you know, you gotta put one over the other. But, yeah, that's why I was questioning reverse prioritization, because he really needs
The truck.
the truck and the sweeper more than the, you know, like, for example, the F-350.
Yeah,
It's not quite as old as the other ones. It's beginning to show wear and tear.
Which one?
the F-350?
The F-350,
And that's a new item, cause that's not a replacement, cause he says keeping, trade and value, keeping for purposes of expanding fleet. So this is not a replacement, he
right,
wants.
that
a
should have been new, that should have been clicked as new, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
That one,
which is why he needs a shed to put his new vehicles in.
Mhm.
No, but yeah, so that one's new.
Yeah, from a capital planning perspective, the F-350 is the least important from my perspective on capital planning. His priorities may be different, because he knows how he wants to run his department.
Yeah.
But from a financing, that 65,000 can get punted. I'm not in favor of that one. Certainly in comparison to some of these other ones. So what's our goal right at the moment? Is to either affirm a request or to deny it outright? What are we doing right now?
With these, I think.
Or just ranking them?
I think we
Or
could
we're
just
just
talking about it.
discussing them.
Just
and
discussing,
You
then
know,
Okay.
and then I think, you know, if we can get Jeremy here next
To
week.
clarify?
to
To
ask
clarify,
questions,
I
yeah.
think, you know, a
Okay.
lot of these questions will be able to be
Okay.
answered.
Yeah. Because then we can talk about the priority.
Yep.
If we feel something's more,
I,
higher priority, then we can ask them about that.
I had a question on the, F-600.
Mm-hmm.
That 2012 vehicle that they're replacing, that was purchased in 2019, used. So we didn't buy that in 2012.
Oh, okay.
We bought that through a special town meeting in 2019 for $10,000, so I don't know how, and then we purchased a sander separate for $5,500
Okay.
for that truck. So we've only had it for 5 years.
But it was already 7 years old, right?
Yeah.
Right, but we
Mhm.
purchased it for 10,000, so I don't know why, like, auction less than 10,000, would be well less than 10,000 if we purchased it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, if you bought them both separate, yes, but if you sell them outright, both together, the
Together.
sander and the truck is gonna be more money.
Yeah.
right. So that's another,
And
is he
this-
getting a new
Is this
sander on that?
new, is this a new, or is this used that he's looking for?
Brand new.
So we might wanna
So
get a
the-
cost of a used one as well. I mean, if the
the,
used one has lasted us 5 years
The back
for a
page
tenth of
is,
the cost,
yeah, the
Mhm.
back page is,
okay.
I don't see
Yeah.
a sander on there though,
No,
right? So the
No.
question is he keeping?
Oh, it's equipped for the sander, but doesn't
Right.
necessarily include one.
Right, so is he keeping the sander that we purchased? Does it fit?
Right.
Outfit
Probably not.
spec sheet, so there's a spec sheet. The actual truck is like 60,000 or 70,000, and then the upfit spec sheet,
Yeah, but it doesn't say
so
on
that's
here.
Oh, I see.
$78,000.
Yes,
So
The
that may,
Madigan
that,
upfit.
yeah, that may include the sander.
yeah, it must. Because
Mm.
what else are you gonna equip a truck? The upgrade is more than the truck itself.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
So it must include the sander.
Right.
Yeah.
So I probably wanna say, let's see if he can look at used. Because if he says the useful life is 10 to 12 years, we got 5 years out of something that we paid 10,000 for.
Right.
That's if you can find it. I mean, used are, you know, you're going,
Catch as catch can, right?
Yeah.
well, you're going to another municipality. You're not going to a
Mhm.
dealer and saying, oh, can I buy a used, you know, pickup truck?
Right.
It just doesn't work like that for procurement reasons. So, you know, you're gonna have to see if there's something in some surplus that's available.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
Okay.
worth a look, though.
you also gotta look
Rather
at, a
than-
lot of these towns too are hanging on to their equipment fund. They're not putting them out there because they're
Mm.
tight on money,
Yeah.
so.
I just think that, you know, buying new is not always the way
Not
to
always the
go.
best thing.
Yeah, depreciation.
Soon as it
Quickly-
goes off,
quickly
it runs
happens.
off that parking lot, it's $20,000 less.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Anything else on highway before we?
So we'll get them in here for next week.
Yeah. All right. Fire?
Okay.
All right, so,
His priority was listed on the back.
oh, no, ours aren't due till
Yeah,
next-
Oh.
we
didn't
don't
get-
have it.
We didn't get both
Oh.
sides.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
that's-
sorry about that.
shoot,
Let me go run these off.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, based on his descriptions, I think he's got these in order of his, the priority of his requests. But,
Mm. Yeah.
we'll be able to confirm that in just a minute. Yeah, the good news is a couple of these things are,
Can be pushed out.
yeah, don't need, he doesn't need them immediately. So that's the good news.
Some of them are.
He does, yeah,
Need to be
his
done.
hoses sound like they're.
That's something that needs to be done, taken
Yeah,
care of.
so I think I'm in agreement with his first request here.
Yep.
Um,
And I basically know the life of some of this equipment because I've been involved with fire service for,
Yep,
I don't know how many years.
but the ambulance, looks like we've got a little bit of
A little bit
time.
of time on that, that's
And
good.
of course, the new truck, a decent amount of time.
Yep.
6, 7 years, kind of the time frame is what he's looking for, just putting it on the radar.
Mhm.
And again, I think we should recommend that we do like we did for this current one that we're purchasing. 200,000 a year, 150,000 a year, whatever the actual number
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
But just start setting it aside so that in 4 or 5 years,
It's there.
the money's there.
yeah, I
Yep.
totally agree.
Yep. And then that third one, well, it was the gear, which we have time to address.
2029.
Just a
right?
couple years, yeah. But again, it's same kind of a thing. 20,000 a year, 25,000 a year, set it aside. I know we've done that in the past. He's done it through articles in the past, but we should do it as a capital plan, not this time around.
So 4 years, right? So if we do 30K-ish,
Is this on the turnout gear?
yeah, 25K.
That would be
Something.
more than enough that what he's
Yep.
looking at right now, sure.
And maybe the price will go up a little bit, so.
And that would accommodate inflation, yeah, for sure. Right, that's the, oh, turnout, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong page, my apologies on that, yeah, 25,000, yeah, maybe 30, yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's a risk thing,
Uh-huh.
because there's a mandate to use the equipment, and if it goes out of date, you can't use it, so.
For
legally,
which one were you talking? The structural turnout gear?
Yes, structural turnout gear.
So hose replacement, extrication equipment and turnout gear, I gave high for critical needs.
Yep.
Yep, that was number one on my list.
Extrication and ambulance, I put a high for service to the public.
Gotta get them to buy something else, so not Dodge.
What?
Gotta get them to buy something else, so not Dodge. There's equipment you could buy,
Mm.
but then again, you gotta get what's available.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. This is way much better. I was like, what the heck is going on? So,
Scrap.
Jim,
Mm-hmm.
I think we've reached a consensus, at least on the turnout gear, that we'd wanna do maybe $30,000 for the next
Okay.
4 years.
All right.
In that, the ambulance and the truck, fire truck, we have a little bit of time on, but the hose, replacement, what are we thinking? Should that be done like sooner, right?
Sooner than later, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe, could we do that over? does
There's a
he-
possibility of a grant on that,
Okay.
For which one?
the hose
Oh,
application.
he does say, yeah.
He was talking to me about that.
Okay.
He was looking into it.
Possible grant on engine two. Okay. Possible, okay, so the only thing that's, not a grant possibility is the ambulance. Well, that's good. So I guess the question on the hose, replacement is how much life is left, or is it zero?
It sounds like it's close to zero.
Okay, so we need to either do it this year or next, probably the whole thing, right?
He's looking at a whole new system, from what I understand.
Yeah, it's pretty much for all the
Right.
equipment.
So it would be
That's
a-
all the vehicles.
the hose
All,
that,
all
that-
hoses.
yeah.
Right. Right, so do we need to do it in '25?
I wouldn't go past that.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so that's the answer then. Okay, so FY '20, so this, he needs an article
Not-
on this year's ATM, right? Or,
oh,
well, yeah, you still need an
Cap-
article.
Capital plan, to take it out of capital planning.
Take it out of capital planning or raise and appropriate, right?
Or, yeah,
It's-
something like that, yeah. You know, whatever projects that are rated and approved, then we'll look at the funding, you
How
know.
to,
you know.
yeah, okay. But so right away, this one we're gonna put on top of the list.
The hose and application replacement?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Do we wanna meet with the chief, or are we good
And then the structural gear, I'm sorry, was what, 30,000 per year?
per year for the next 4 years? So 25, 26, 27, 28.
And the the engine two replacement would be. Does we have a recommendation for
You got the
funding that?
hydraulic power rescue equipment also.
So useful life, 25 years for the engine, right? And when was it
It's a
purchased?
it's a 2001.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay. Okay, so it's
I
like,
think that we need to spread this out over
Yeah.
multiple
Right.
years.
okay, so we should probably start funding this now,
Yes.
even if we do 100.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say,
I'd be happy with 150.
okay, is any,
You okay with that, Don, or?
I have to look at
I,
the financing at the end. Let's not
Okay.
put a
Yeah, we
number
gotta-
on it just
yeah,
yet, but just know
okay.
that we want to start funding
I
it.
think it's better to look at the
Okay,
whole
yeah.
picture when we have a spreadsheet.
okay, all right.
So, I'll just say something.
Yeah,
So we want to start funding in '25.
Yeah.
okay.
And the hydraulic extrication equipment. Received from a grant, this doesn't. So, this one here, to check the box that grant monies are available, but didn't write anything in the write-up about getting another grant.
Well, okay, so maybe my next question was, do we want to meet with him, or are we all set? But maybe we should meet, I think we understand the projects and the need, but maybe we need to know about the grant funding. Is that,
I think he was here last week in anticipation of answering questions, so I think he would be willing to
yeah,
speak about his, proposals.
okay. All right, so let's keep it at highway and fire then,
Okay.
next week.
Okay.
I think
And
that'll-
I can argue the point on going battery operated versus hydraulic. Because
Mhm.
we use battery operated all the time, and there is issues with batteries. You have to have enough batteries on hand to complete, because they'll fail at any point in time.
Right, yeah,
In the middle of a cut, your battery drops, you gotta have another one to replace it,
Yeah,
you know?
okay,
So not everything is good just because it's electric.
okay. So does that sound like a plan? We have a good idea about it, but let's talk to Adam, learn more about the grants. All right, so I'll say, let's do the treatment plant, and then more homework is to look at the new stuff from, this is all from Sharon, oh, and the selectmen, so. Read that, those offline, and we'll discuss it next week.
Okay.
Um, So, copper reduction, is that a chemical, or is it like a system, mechanical system?
There's a chemical that you drop into the system that feeds into it, and it has to, what it does is, it's like a flock material, it drops in, it grabs on and takes out.
So is a chemical capital planning related?
Well, I guess, it could, help maintain the lines.
But it's also, you gotta read the whole back to it too, because there is a time limit to get this system in place and running properly.
It's a mandate by the
There's a mandate by the EPA.
EPA.
I was
Yeah.
not sure whether it falls into a capital project.
Yeah, I don't know that it's a capital project. I don't disagree that it's, we need to do it now, but it may
Mhm.
just be, he needs to put an
Yeah, I
article on.
believe there is
It's
a,
Not really.
timeline on
The-
this.
The useful life
Yeah.
isn't really 5 years or more, it's 56,000 this year and ongoing
You're
40,000.
using 25 microliters per month.
Mhm.
It's all broken out here, what you gotta, how much you're gonna use.
Right, but again, it's not a piece of equipment, and
It's
this is
not.
ongoing. I mean, this is not
It's an
like,
ongoing thing
you
that has
can't
to be
do it for
treated.
5 years and then stop.
Mhm, mhm.
No, you have to ongoing, you have
Yeah.
to meet the and there are requirements in here to meet, once you start this, and I believe it's February 25 that comes into compliance, you have to do it every February. After that, it has to be
Mhm.
reported to the EPA,
Mhm.
all the readings and all the whole program.
So I don't know what they have in their retained earnings.
Yeah, we'll
So
have to
that's
take
the
a
other
look at it.
question. Would this be an article, or does this just go into their budget? They just
Um,
put 56 grand onto their budget for 25?
Well, I mean,
and-
they have some expense, they have a significant expense line and services line. I don't know, we'd have to look at their, see what they have for, retained earnings.
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
not sure this falls into capital
Yeah,
project
Yeah.
at all. I mean, it sounds like it's an annual expense of 56,
Mhm.
and then ongoing 40,000 annually for chemicals. So,
yeah.
to me, this doesn't sound like capital
It's-
project.
it
I'm not saying
really
it doesn't
would-
need
I
to
don't
be
think
done.
it falls under capital, because when I did wastewater treatment,
Yeah.
it was part of the process, it's part of the
Mhm.
process.
Just, one-
It's a
yeah.
chemical you use
Yeah.
to drop the stuff out.
Daily
maintain
operation.
Daily operational
Mhm.
procedures.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, so
I'm
we're
not
gonna
saying it doesn't
say,
need to get done.
yeah,
It's just I don't
So
think
we'll
it
put
falls
that
in.
into,
not capital
we'll
planning,
put that into the operational side.
operational, yeah.
Yeah, they'll need to, as an
Okay, so
enterprise
we're gonna-
fund, they'll need to figure that out, for operations.
Okay, so the chlorine alarm,
Mhm.
again, it needs to be done now.
Yep.
Um, And again, so is anything with the sewer department, do we take it out of the town's budget, or is it part of the user?
Well, I mean, it depends on if they have retained earnings, where they are with their retained earnings, but historically, they have been using a lot of their retained earnings to balance their budgets. You know,
Yeah, I know.
so
This,
if they don't have the money, then yeah, it would come out of town.
so this one may have to just be an article then, because if the EPA is saying we need to do it.
You got a
then we need
March
to do it.
31, 2024 deadline.
March,
31, 2024.
yeah,
30.
that's fine.
Next week.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's not a problem. You know.
Yeah, no, I know,
I mean,
Just-
I think this would fall
just
under
a week.
capital.
that's
under
all.
Capital project, though.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
think it's not. I don't think it should
What,
be a capital project,
The alarm?
how come?
because it's part of the process.
Oh, because we need it immediately? Or-
Well, you gotta put it in there so you can have the effluent readings going back and tracking everything down and following your reports.
It's operational.
It's operational, it's not,
Yeah, but aren't capital projects operation?
Yeah.
This is a piece of equipment that's going
Yeah.
to be put in and used and kept there for 20 years, not something that has to be, I guess, replaced every year, like the chemicals would be replaced every year.
Mhm.
Yeah, a
This-
useful
this
life
alarm-
of 5 years or
Mhm.
more,
Yeah, this
so,
alarm would be in place for, they're
Yeah.
saying a useful life of 20 years.
yeah.
And this
So
is
I
a new
think this
piece of
falls-
equipment, yeah,
I
I
think
would
this
agree.
falls
Six
within-
one, half a dozen of another.
in industry, it's operational.
Mm.
No, I understand.
Mhm.
But it's.
And it's a mandate, you
It
know.
is a capital improvement.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's gonna be in our view for an instant, because it's gotta get done. So
Yep.
we're
Yeah.
gonna see it and say,
Yeah.
okay, and then it's done and we'll never see it again. I'm not sure I'll be on this board in 20 years, so what do you guys think?
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah, right.
How karma is.
Can't believe I've been on this capital planning for
Cap-
20
Capital
years.
planning, a chairlift for Rich to get up to the
Yeah,
meeting room.
yeah, exactly. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, wait, we already have it, we don't need it.
Yeah.
That's it. Your own personal wheelchair, that's
Yeah.
it. I- I'm okay with it, I mean,
Yeah, we
I
gotta
know we're
do it.
not
Yeah.
making final decisions here necessarily, but,
I'm gonna put yes on it.
yeah.
Okay, so then we got a scum pump and a truck replacement.
Did you talk about the bar rack?
What about
yet?
the bar rack?
Yeah, the bar act,
Bar rack. Yep. Although he put that as priority B, so.
Oh, that's a good point.
His, so the first two priority As, we have to get done, and then the next priority A is the scum pump replacement.
yeah, again, it's part of the process.
So maybe we start looking at that first, maybe put half of it away.
Mhm. And again,
This year, half next
see what they
year.
have for retained earnings,
Yep,
you know, type of deal.
and then,
You know, they have some articles
think
there
you
that
might-
may be able to flush out that, you know, that they've never finished the projects or didn't need the projects anymore. You know,
Oh,
they have articles, you know, like, for example, just one of an example is, you know, those cement steps, they had an article that was 8 years ago
right,
that was listed on there, never, you know, the money was sitting there for all this time. Now, granted, we used a little over 9,000 to handle some of the steps down there, but, you know, there's other articles there that I don't even know if they finish those projects, or if they need to, you know, still address those projects, and some of them Ralph is not unaware of them. So if they were to close out those articles, then obviously that stuff, you know, would help.
so if you wanna, if it's an article that, money for an article that isn't needed anymore, it just needs a vote to put it somewhere else, like to put it towards a.
Well, no,
scum
to
pump.
release the article, so the money will go back into their retained
Yeah, yeah,
earnings.
yeah. Right, okay. And then they can turn around and Put it in.
redirect it.
Yeah, okay.
But how do we determine that?
Some sort
Well,
of.
I'm gonna have to sit down with Ralph and the sewer commissioners to see, you know, what projects are, you know, can we close out these articles? Because the sewer commissioners are gonna have to look
So
at
somewhere
those.
there's like an accounting list of.
Oh, I have the list,
These
yeah,
buckets.
yeah,
Okay.
it's through the town accountant provides the
Okay.
list. yeah.
Okay,
I think you might wanna move this up a little bit too.
the scum pump?
Yep.
Yeah,
Just because you know, you're looking at parts that aren't available anymore because the pumps are obsolete. If they break down, you're not running.
yeah, I think so. Based on his description, it sounds like this is a must. I think the bar rack is probably also, maybe we can do the scum pump first and over a year or two and then go to the bar rack.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works with them being an enterprise fund as
Mm.
far as the funding.
So if they don't have their retained earnings, and there's mandates that need to be done, it comes back on the town.
Yeah. Well, the first two then.
you know. Unless they can, I mean, I don't know if they could raise, I mean, they could raise the rates, but I don't know, you know.
Well, they
what-
should be doing that already,
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
So they get themselves out of the hole if they're.
yeah.
All right, any other questions on sewer? Do we want to talk to Ralph?
You may want to.
Just-
I need clarification on this, because
Okay.
I don't know, I can't,
So let's plan on Ralph in 2 weeks?
Sure, okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right, so what are we doing? Okay, so it's 5:25. So I would say, think about the 0 to 5 subcategories and take a look at the senior center and selectmen projects. And then maybe we can plan on Sharon in 2 weeks if we need to.
You okay?
And for next week, we have fire,
And highway,
4 o'clock, right? Tuesday or?
4 o'clock Tuesday, let me see, is everybody?
Next Tuesday.
Yep. Tuesday the 2nd. All right,
anything else?
I don't think so. Anybody, any other?
Is there anything else on the agenda?
No?
If not, then I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, we are adjourned at